and welcome to Let's Talk Spoop, where I'm continuing to talk to you about the Omen movies. We're on to Omen 2, as I said already. As I stated in the previous video, I watched the first four Omen movies on Amazon Prime through the Cinemax channel on Amazon Prime. That is the only way to get them on streaming currently. So, what is Omen 2 about? Oh, just like I said in my last video, again, these movies are very narrative heavy, which means that I can't really break them down the way I normally do. So I'm just going to talk about it. And after I've watched all five Omen movies, the four in the original series plus the remake, I will do a tier video where I tier out which Omens are the best and which are the worst. So, Omen 2, Electric Boogaloo, also known as Damien Omen 2. Omen 2 takes place 7 years after the original movie. It was filmed 2 years after the original movie, but it takes place 7 years later. In this movie, Damien has been adopted by his adoptive father's brother. So he's living with his cousin and his uncle and his uncle's second wife. At the opening to the movie, we have Bugenhagen, who was in the last movie, is the guy that gave the knives to the dad. He is trying to give these knives to another guy, another archaeologist who's famous and well respected in England, to give to Damien's new parents so that they can end the Antichrist. It doesn't go well. They end up getting buried in a cave in while he's showing him this mural on the wall that has Damien's face painted as the Antichrist. We fast forward to, or we move over to Damien living with his family. He's got an aunt who thinks he's the worst human being ever because she's right. And she tells Damien's uncle that if he does not disown Damien, she's going to disown him, and he's not going to get the 27% that she owns of Thorn Industries and the Thorn Museum, which is a big deal because Damien, as the Antichrist, is supposed to use the world of politics and the world of money in order to take over the world. So she has to die. She has a heart attack after seeing a crow. Um, we move on. So Damien and his cousin are going to a military academy, and we get some scenes there. We meet this guy Neff, who doesn't really play a lot into the story, but he's definitely an apostle of the devil, which, if you watch my last video, means that he is trying to help the Antichrist. Damien in this movie, strangely, doesn't seem to know who he is. He does not know initially that he is the Antichrist. He doesn't know how his powers work or any of that. He does use them, but he doesn't like do it consciously, essentially. Until he finds out. Because Neff tells him to read a specific passage out of the book of Revelations right after he just blows the whole classroom away with his level of knowledge about American or about history entirely. We have a lot of character building with Damien, kind of seeing him accepting his role, but he still has some emotional attachments to people. And we get a scene where this museum curator who curates the Thorn Museum realizes who Damien is because he sees this mural, and he tries to talk Damien's new dad, his uncle, into unaliving him. And his cousin overhears this, and his cousin like immediately believes it, puts it all together. Is like, oh my God, my cousin is the Antichrist. I have, oh my God, and he leaves, and Damien follows him. Damien tries to talk to him. He's like, look, it's true. I am. I was born of a jackal. You were born of a woman. I was born of a jackal. But that doesn't matter. You're my cousin. You can join me. You can be one of my apostles. And his brother, cousin, does not want anything to do with that. And this is the first time in this movie that we see Damien consciously use his powers against somebody else, which is really kind of a sad moment because this is his brother, essentially. They were raised together. He loves him, but he has to be who he is. So he cacks him. He causes him to see something, and it causes a brain aneurysm, and he dies. At the same time that that's going on, there's a guy who's maneuvering inside of Thorn Industries to get Thorn Industries into agriculture because that's the wave of the future. You control the food, you control the people. He's also an apostle. And then his uncle finally believes. So his uncle goes and gets the knives, and he's going to kill Damien. And it all climaxes with the reveal that the aunt is also an apostle, which, if you're paying really close attention, you probably picked up on it. But his aunt's also an apostle. She betrays the uncle, kills him. End of the movie. So, Omen 2, not quite as good as the original. It's still got good music. The acting is good, although there's no real like big names like Gregory Peck was in the last one. But it's still good acting. It was interesting to kind of see the exploration of Damien's coming into his powers, coming into who he is, and it was a legit continuation of the story. They made sure that it felt like the next logical step. So if I had to score it, I'd probably give it a 3 out of 5. Again, there's not really much special effects in this. I think there's a little bit of blood, so I can't really talk about that. The music was good, the atmosphere was good. I was engaged. My wife was engaged. I made her watch all of these with me. Well, I didn't make her; she chose to, but she watched all of them with me, and she enjoyed it. So overall, good movie. If you haven't seen it, I would. But you got to watch the first one because it doesn't make any sense if you don't watch the first one, which is kind of a downside. It's not a standalone movie. It's kind of like what makes Wonder Woman 1984 not as good because if you watch Wonder Woman 1984, it makes absolutely no sense to you if you haven't seen the first Wonder Woman. Same thing with Omen 2, Electric Boogaloo. If you have any thoughts, do you want to tell me what you thought of Omen 2? You want to argue with me in the comments? Go ahead, but just keep it civil, keep it polite. And okay, thanks. Bye.